Hi everyone, thank you for clicking on to this video. Welcome. In this little film I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the gospel, the good news that we hear on the fourth Sunday of Advent. So let me just find, there we go. Great, we're in. God's peace be with you. God's love, God's grace be with you. Ave Maria, Hail Mary, full of grace. When thinking about the Gospel for the fourth Sunday of Advent, I always think, first of all, not of Mary, but of Joseph. Joseph. There are two Joes in my family, my dad and my brother. My favourite Bob Dylan song is called Joey, and if my youngest daughter had been a boy, she'd have been called Joseph too. I love the name, I love the saint, and I love how Joseph learns that what we think is possible in this life is ultimately irrelevant because God comes to us anyway. He doesn't respect our neat and tidy laws of the possible and the impossible. God comes to us anyway in the most outrageous way to save us. People always get St. Joseph wrong. They think he was confused about Mary being pregnant because, well, in those days, they say people didn't know where babies came from. And like we now know that virgins can't give birth to babies. Well, as C.S. Lewis said, it's because ancient people knew exactly where babies come from that Joseph was confused and bewildered and devastated. Ancient people weren't stupid. They knew that things don't just happen. Babies don't just pop into existence. They probably also knew that universes, while we're at it, don't just pop into existence. They knew that virgins don't give birth. Everyone knows that. It's impossible. Unless the God who upholds every single moment of existence, and without whom everything would just collapse into non-existence, unless God acts in a special way and feeds a new event into history, which is what St. Joseph came to believe happened in Mary. Why did Joseph come to believe that about Mary and about Jesus? It's a mystery, but I think it's got something to do with my Auntie Grace. I had an auntie called Grace, and she was amazing. She had this condition where she'd say whatever was in her head, no matter what the situation. Nowadays, it's a recognised mental health condition where people who've got no inhibiting mechanism in their brains just say exactly what they're thinking. Like, so if Grace saw you in the street, she might say something like, "Goodness, haven't you put on weight?" Or that dress looks really cheap on you. But there'd be no side to it, no intention to wound. Grace would often say amazingly generous and kind things as well that most people would just keep to themselves. Grace was a bit wild. She rode around the parish on a moped at terrific speeds. Like me, she was a religious nutcase, turning up to midweek masses hours before the priest, just wanting to pray, just wanting to be and breathe in God's house. All her life, people patronised Grace and made jokes about her behind her back. They'd laugh at her, look down on her, make comments on how she dressed. But the thing about Grace was that she had nothing. She wore the cheapest clothes. Her home was barely heated. Why? Because she gave everything away. She gave all her money away, and anything else she had to anyone she thought needed it. And when she died, we looked at the few possessions she'd left, and there was hardly anything at all. If you ask me why I believe that Jesus was born in this special way, I'd have to tell you something about Grace. She was my godmother and she taught me about the faith. And actually this fourth Sunday of Advent falls on the 20th of December, which is my daughter's birthday. It's also the anniversary of my baptism, 20th of December 1970 in St. Mary's Church. So I'd have to tell you about Grace, who taught me the faith, and I believe it because I believe in her as one of the reasons. And she taught me something about the grace of God. In the Bible, grace, charis, means the awesome gift that we could never earn, that we could never deserve or create for us ourselves, but which God gives to us anyway. Grace from God is reckless, wild, it doesn't count the cost. Grace is often impossible, outrageous, absurd. What does the angel Gabriel say when he greets Mary? Hail, Mary, full of grace. Why? Because Mary is full of it. She is full of the overflowing, life-giving charis and generosity of God. Mary is full of it. And so in her is born grace himself, Jesus. Jesus is pure grace. He is the gift we could never earn, the love we could never deserve, the life that we could never create for ourselves. Human beings didn't make Jesus happen. He's not the byproduct of a material cause-effect world. He breaks into our story as pure gift. He erupts with this oceanic salvation. Jesus is grace. Wild, reckless, says exactly what he thinks, holds nothing back, empties his heart. And as we hear today in the Gospel, Mary's heart and body was full of him. And that is what Saint Joseph came to see and know and feel and love and hold in her. May Joseph's joy be ours. Impressed by wealth and power, the mass of ancient Romans said to the big man, Ave Kaiser, Hail Caesar. In love with the poor and forgotten, the angel Gabriel says to a poor Jewish girl, Hail Mary, Ave Maria.